Hello class and welcome to this Bubble Bobble walkthrough right here on Video Games 101 by way of Let's Play with Brigands. Today we are covering one of the best couch co-op games available for the NES, but we're going to be playing this solo right up until the end, which if you've played this game before you know why I say right up until the end, or just before the end I guess better said. In terms of difficulty, this one's not too bad. In fact, I'm going to give it, on a scale of 10, a 5 out of 10, which equates on the frustration scale to throwing your controller across the room in a couple different spots. There's a couple tricky levels in particular in this game, but the difficulty is offset by the fact that you have unlimited continues. You can start right on the level you lost on, so not too bad. We have a lot to talk about though, a lot to cover, so let's run the intro and get into the game. Alright, we're going to start a new game here on level 1. This is the beginning of a fantastic story. Let us make a journey to the Cave of Monsters. And they wish us luck. And we are off as we take a look at the controls for Bubble Bobble. B is attack. It blows your bubbles where you can trap enemies and then pop those bubbles with them inside. A is jump. We move around with left and right. And we can pause the game with start. And it should be mentioned that while the game is paused, we can hit select to bring in our second player. This works if you already have the second player in the game or not, but yeah, that just leeches one of your lives and gives it to them so they can join you, but just keep that in mind. And so yeah, 2 levels down already. These first levels in particular go by very quickly. As we take a look at the Briggs notes for a Bubble Bobble, first and foremost, probably most importantly, is if you can get turbo going with your controller, I highly recommend it for this game. The rapid fire candy is very important. Blaze is going to talk about that in just a moment. Secondly, pay attention to the air pockets on each level. You'll notice when you fire off a bubble, a lot of times they'll be moving in one particular direction. Depending on where they go on the screen, they'll be kind of trapped in a certain spot, as you can see right here as an example. It's just a good idea to know where the bubbles are going to be going, whether you've trapped an enemy in your bubbles or not. Just something to keep in mind. Sometimes this can work with you, sometimes it can work against you. So, number 3, move quickly at the start of every level. Sometimes you can make what would be a very difficult level a lot more manageable just by kind of trapping an enemy or multiple enemies in bubbles before they have a chance to get in a tricky spot for you, so something to keep in mind. And finally, approach the boxed enemies from the edge, and I'll point out more specific examples of this as we get into it, as we get into some levels where there's more kind of cagey areas, literally cagey, just, boxed areas. And yeah. Remember that if you take too long on any given level, that the Whale of Death will show up, and this enemy cannot be defeated. It's just there to kill you. Once it does, it disappears for a while and then just kind of resets, so just something to be mindful of. It's not too much of an issue in these first probably 50 levels or so, but later on in the game, enemies are harder to get to with where they are on the screen, so just something to keep in mind. And so we mentioned the candy for getting the rapid fire. Let's go to Blaze to give us an overview of the many, many, many items available here in Bubble Bobble. Blaze?
Alright, let's talk about the items in Bubble Bobble, and there are a lot of them. Aside from all the fruits and point value type items, which we're not going to talk about because there's just way too many of them, let's talk about the items which have an effect on Bub or Bob. So first we have the candy. You have the blue and the green, which affects the range and speed of your bubbles respectively, as well as kind of the maroon candy, which does both. Then you have the warp umbrellas, come in different colors just like the candy. These can warp you up to 3, 5, or 7 levels ahead. Then we have the cross, again multicolored, all have different purposes. You have the blue, which fills the screen with water, kills everything. The yellow creates lightning bolts on the screen, kills pretty much everything. And then you have the red, which gives Bob or Bub the ability to shoot fire out of their mouths in place of the bubbles. Then you have the big chest, which basically when you clear the level, you get a big bonus, point bonus basically. So not a huge deal, but points are good. Then we move on to the different staffs which you can get, which gives you a special reward after you clear the last enemy, similar to the chest, just a different kind of point thing, but nothing special in that regard. You have the shoes, which make you very fast. I like to avoid it because it makes Bub or Bob a little difficult to control, in my opinion. Then we have the giant bomb, which kills everything on the screen. Very nice. You have the heart, which makes you invisible and freezes enemies for a limited amount of time. Then you have the book, which kills all enemies on screen. It does this in different ways. There's a few different variations of this. And we have the crystal ball, only exclusively available on level 99. Opens the road to the secret final 10 or 12 levels. Very hard to get to alone, but we're going to give it a go in this playthrough. The professor is. Then you have the different rings, which create falling stars or rocks, I think in the blue and green variations. They love their colors. It's a very colorful game. Then you have the red necklace, which makes kind of a spark that bounces about the screen. In the final level, when you're taking on the last boss, Gary will talk about this, but you have the lightning bubble, the bottle, which creates lightning bubbles to kill the final boss. And then finally, we have the magic jar, which appears, and this makes all the enemies disappear if you pick it up, and sends you to one of a handful of bonus rounds. Lot of items.
That was a marathon there. Thank you very much, Blaze. Just kept coming. So the conditions for a lot of these items appearing, and there's an umbrella, so we can skip forward if we grab that. We're going to show you the whole game, though, so we're not going to worry about any kind of warping or anything like that. But that's what that would have done, sent us ahead a few levels. The conditions, though, for triggering the various many items of this game kind of vary depending on just a lot of different things. Sometimes it's based on how many points you have, how many bubbles you've burst. Very specific things. There's just too many to mention. So, just play the game and you'll see these things appear from time to time. They only linger on the screen for a certain amount of time, so you do want to be quick. But, sometimes you might not want to sacrifice a life for the sake of getting one of these items, but just something to mention. And there you kind of saw an example of that coming in on the enemies from the side, the safety of a wall or a box. We have the luxury of being able to jump kind of through walls when we come at them from the bottom, so we can use that to safely attack some enemies while not putting our bodies in harm's way, necessarily. There'll be another example of that here on this screen right here. Here on level 17 already. Right there. It's the safest way to approach enemies, especially when they're trapped in very tight quarters like that. It's also very safe to attack enemies. You'll notice the final enemy on every screen turns red. It's the same animation that they go through if they're trapped in a bubble and you don't get to them in time, and it bursts, and then they come out and they're angry, as you'd expect. No one wants to be trapped in a bubble. They come out a lot faster, and their movements a bit more erratic. I mean, it's just faster, really, but still, it's just the timing is a bit off once they come out and are red. So you want to keep everyone normal colored if possible. Makes them a lot easier to deal with. Another level where we can come in from the side. In this case, we just want to come up to the top. You'll notice when we have the turbo for bubble blowing, just everything comes so much faster. We have the luxury of being able to put ourselves in, more dangerous spots, I think generally is the best way of putting that. I don't think we're going to get to that D. But, yeah, it really is the key to beating this game, or with losing as few lives as possible. This might be the first game where and there's the spark that Blaze was talking about with the red necklace. This might be one of the few games where I don't think a no-death run is possible. I mean, I think it's possible, but I'm not going to beat myself up, I should say, if we do not achieve the flawless victory here, so... It's just an awful lot of levels. And so far, it's so good. It's not too difficult until you reach about the midway point, around level 50 or 60. For the most part, there are some exceptions to that. And you can see everyone, kind of the air trail, leading everyone to be trapped right there in the middle of this little house here. So we're almost a quarter of the way through the game at this point. I forget if I mentioned this, but we're trying to spell out extend with those letters. Seems like an ED infomercial or something. Not sure why that's the, you could have gone with extra life or one life or extra or something like that. But anyway, extend is what we're trying to spell out. And once we get the final letter, then we automatically beat the level to advance to the next one. And we get an extra life out of it, so be on the lookout for that. If possible, you want to grab that extra letter on one of the harder levels, but that's not a gimme. The letters appear when you get a lot of points at once, so if you capture maybe, 6 or 7 enemies and bubbles at once, and you kind of pop them all in one big mass, then you get kind of point multipliers, so that's how you unlock a lot of letters at once. You just see we got the end for taking out 3 enemies at once. But that's a letter we already have, so I'm not gonna sweat that. Yeah, we're coming up at maybe about a quarter of the way through the game, a bit less considering that we have the, I think 10 or 12 extra levels after 100. So let's turn to Fluff and get our first Fluff fact for great platformer, great couch co-op game from Taito, and Bubble Bobble. Fluff?
Similar to other games we've covered here on Video Games 101, Bubble Bobble was influenced by an earlier game, in this case another game from its developer Taito. In 1983, Taito released the arcade platformer Chack and Pop, which featured similar level designs and some enemies Taito ripped straight out of this game and put into Bubble Bobble. The game didn't sell well, and it's mostly forgotten the time, but you can see the influence in Bubble Bobble.
Yeah, the whales, straight out of it. You got them right here on the screen. They just kind of changed the coloring a little bit. Very appropriate right there. So we're on the famous popcorn level. You can pop one of those little kind of fire bubbles there to make a whole floor of fire. That's the popcorn reference. And right there, we just had a rush of those little ghost guys, little banshees or whatever you want to call them. And that's not something we could accomplish without the turbo and rapid fire. So just another example of how important that candy is, along with turbo. It's a completely different game if you don't have it. You have to play a lot slower and more strategically and, just take your shots. But that was very dangerous right there. And there's our invincibility heart right there. Let's grab that. Always fun, even when the level's not all that difficult. I'll still take it, happily. Again, it doesn't last forever, but I don't think I've ever had this disappear on me. Even in levels where it's a bit harder to get to the enemies in some cases. So here's a good one where we definitely want the turbo. We don't want to get too close, don't put too much faith in the turbo, but once we hit all these, look at that, we're going to get all the letters. Should have gotten more out of that, honestly. But we get point multipliers for the different fruits and vegetables that we get. By the way, 2 weeks, we just did Adventure Island last week. Check out that walkthrough if you haven't seen it. But yeah, we just did Adventure Island, and speaking of another game where the lead character is eating the entire game, Lots of fruits and vegetables in that game. Following it up with yet another one this week. All the good stuff. Here we want to use that box technique one more time. Lightning bolts can be very helpful in some cases. It's just kind of hard to line them up sometimes. Again, we're going to play it safe here, coming from the bottom, use the comfort of the left wall. There we go. That worked out. I don't know if Taito was trying to tell us something, that the sundaes aren't worth as many points as the fruits and vegetables. Practicing healthy eating options right there. Grab this necklace. Gotta be careful when they're red. Sometimes you don't feel as comfortable rushing them. When you don't know when they're about to burst, you don't want to get cocky and head towards it like you're gonna pop that bubble, and then the enemy bursts out just at the last second and takes your life. These guys will eventually start to come out, one at a time or two at a time, as the angle hits just right. By the way, very useful mechanic in this game, which we didn't really talk about with the controls. Obviously A is jump, but we can jump on our bubbles. And there's all the letters. There we go. Just gotta get the one letter we have not grabbed yet. This should just end this level for us. There you go. So, just move right along and get a 1-up in the process. As our monster just goes on autopilot there. I was not controlling him as he was humping the wall there. It's another level where you can, if you're patient, you can let the air currents group up all the enemies you trapped and hit them all at once for a big multiplier. I'm not too concerned about that though. We just want to be safe. Right there, they kind of threw a little wrench into it. You see the toaster didn't drop all the way like I was expecting it to. Almost cost us our first death. So far, so good. First 50 levels, as I think I probably mentioned, not nearly as difficult, so I've had a lot of occasions where I've gotten at least through the first half of the levels without losing a life, and then just it really ratchets up in the back 9. Gonna be playing hard to get. Might as well just wait at this point. It's nice though when they're red. I was starting to say this earlier, but I forgot. Obviously they're a lot faster and less predictable with their movements and things like that. But the nice thing is when they're dropping down, even if they're red, they always come down at that same kind of speed, that slow speed, so you have time to adjust. Some of the flying enemies behave a little bit differently, to be fair, but yeah, for the most part, you can just, see them slowly, gently wafting down, straight down, where you can take them down when they get to your level. 38. Here's one where we might want to float a little bit, try to make some bubbles that bridge a little over here, or we can come in from the bottom as well. If we can make enough of a bridge, and then we can pop the flames right here. Well, this works too. Alright. So that one's probably gonna... The only problem with being in the flames yourself is that you can't jump quite as easily and you move a lot slower. For whatever reason, we're allergic to flames. I don't know. It's better than being vulnerable to flames, but still. These guys are tricky because they just keep falling. You get a couple levels like this later where it's even worse. But yeah, here it's not too bad. We can drop the flames without going down ourselves. Well, this is... Okay, that worked out timing-wise. Didn't mean to fall down there, but it worked out. Level 40, I think there's a hole in the middle of, yep, in that symbol there. Just cleaning up now. I like it, the levels you can knock out in, 10 seconds or something like that. We haven't seen the death whale yet. We've been pretty efficient with clearing out the enemies. First appearance can't be too far off. Oof. That was a bull true moment right there. Again, the donuts. Only worth 300. All the sweet treats. Not worth nearly as many as the natural. We get our first appearance from these little guys. Something from one of the, Sesame Street rejects. You can kind of come in from the side there to get that guy. These guys, will breathe fire at you if you stare them down too long, so it's good to get to them quickly. Alright, this level's tricky. This might be the first death right here because, well, first we want to let these guys drop down. But getting the whale is a whole nother order right here. It's a 50-50 chance, basically. I'd like to say that I just timed that really well on purpose, but a good way to take out these guys. See if we can't ride that up. Alright, well, I'd like some more lightning bolts if possible. And we're gonna see the whale for the first time, the killer whale. This is gonna get hairy. Really need one of these lightning bolts to just line up perfectly. This could be what we need. There we go. It's so satisfying when you get it. And you get a nice point bonus or item from killing enemies with the lightning bolt. Here, when you get the last whale, it's good to bubble them both up, because when you get that last whale going red on this level in particular, it's a little tricky. With the boxes and everything, it can change its movement, so... Really a good rule of thumb in general is when you just have two enemies left on the screen is to trap them both in bubbles if possible. Hopefully they're near each other so that you can get to them quickly to take them down, but... These little spring-loaded guys. Oof, once again we're in a tough spot. These guys aren't going to jump high enough here. Hopefully they can go a little bit to the right. Yeah, we can't camp here. Yeah. That's the whole point of the whale sometimes, is just to kind of force you into being impatient and a situation where, you can't handle the enemies the way that you want to necessarily. This is going to be nice. Ah, just missed that last one. We should get some letters off of this. Hopefully the E, the X, and the T, and the N. Now we have the X. Well, take a T. Again, not going to sacrifice a life just to get the, there's even more letters, just to get the T. I'd like to get to at least level 50 without losing a life. That would be, I would call that an accomplishment. There we go. Barely popped that. And I think these guys are going to drop right on it. There we go. Nice. We are coming up on the first very, very frustrating level in this game. It's not too far off. Forget if it's in the 50s or the 60s, but it's coming up. You might already know what I'm talking about if you've played this game a lot. Again, we're trying to avoid the shoes. Just... Our monsters don't move a whole lot, they don't move all that fast, but just... I tend to make more mistakes when I have the hyper speed. The jumping in particular is bad. I don't mind the movement so much left to right, but when you add jumping into it when you're going that fast, yeah, it's just an accident waiting to happen. You got these Zelda-looking guys, or Link, I should say. Hylians. This is kind of tricky here. I'd like to get one of these fast-track bubbles. And he's gonna drop in. We can probably trap him. There we go. Get some Whack Donald's fries right there. Bizarro McDonald's. Alright, this one's tricky. This is another one where you have to do relatively quickly. These guys fire out their little laser beams. There we go. That'll be a godsend. On this level. Yeah, it's tough coming in from these tough angles with some of these enemies. And we can kind of split that gap right there to fall through, rather than having to come in from the bottom to hit that guy, which is kind of a hard jump to make. As it is. Now that we've hit level 50, let's go to Fluff for another Fluff fact on Bubble Bobble. Fluff?
Bubble Bobble is known as being one of the best couch co-op games on the NES. But with it being released in 1986, it's also one of the first. Noticing that it was largely men frequenting arcades at the time, lead designer Fukio Mitsuji specifically wanted to make a game which couples could play together. He attributed this as the reasoning behind the game's cute characters, as well as a simultaneous co-op feature. The game even rewards co-op play by only giving you the true ending if you have a second player in the game.
That's true, like we showed in the opening. A little whiteboard moment. Let's see if this hits. Very nice. It's one of the earliest examples of the ain't no fun unless my friends get some. I'm paraphrasing, of course. Here we are on 53 again. Everyone's just falling into the middle here. Another one of those levels where you don't want to get too aggressive unless you have the turbo, and even then you want to keep your distance. Don't always just assume because you have rapid fire candy or turbo that you can handle pretty much any enemy train coming at you. Still takes a minute to trap a couple enemies, and if you have too many of them are lined up in a line, train style, you need to leave enough space between you and the enemies when you're firing to give yourself enough time to take them all out. Got these Link wannabes bouncing around. They have, I don't know, it's like Link in a ping pong tournament or something. They have the paddles. Little ghosties are frustrating. Thankfully it jumped high enough. Still rocking along. Haven't lost that first life yet. I don't mind losing lives. I'd like to be able to do this on one continue. I think that's my overall goal. Even though you have infinite continues, so it's not an issue in that sense, but still. Like sometimes the developers, they kind of tip the hat with the level design, let you know who you might be facing. And yeah, that cucumber just spawned right inside that big whale's. Anyway. Angry Toaster. Mind the fireball with these guys. And then sometimes you just can wait for them to come down, let gravity safely drop them into your bubble path. Take them down that way. And it might be the next level. It's 57 or 6. Yep, this is the one. Alright, so the strategy here, avoid the shots from above, but make yourself a bubble tower over here until you can climb up on your own with the walls. And that's as well as you could do that. Time is definitely a factor on this level. The Whale of Death shows up before too long, so yeah, that's how you do that. This could have very easily been the first death, so happy to knock that out, but that is the best way to do it. You might think climbing up the wall is easier. I mean, it is easier, but it would require immense luck to not get shot. So we need to keep firing here. Still haven't gotten the T. Maybe there's some rule that's like the hardest letter to unlock. be on that 57, you might think just climbing the wall up, but there's just too many shots coming from the enemies to successfully clear that, so. Anyway, nice. Knocked that out pretty quickly. Let these guys drop down. Sometimes you can jump to give yourself a little bit of extra time to space out when you trap those enemies. They really don't give you very much time to deal with these whales here. Yeah, they're in and out of their bubble in about, 3 to 5 seconds, so. Here we want to get one of those bubble trains, which, not sure. Usually the play here is to drop down in this hole because you don't want to let them. I'm just gonna let gravity take its course here. Let's just go agonizingly slow because there's so much terrain for them to cover. I think we're gonna get a warning here in a second about the Whale of Death. Yep. But we should have time. Just keep firing. We should be able to take them all out. There we go. That was close. Level 60, though, might be a personal record before I've lost a life in this game. Another X. These guys are a little bit tricky because they're trapped in this dangerous wedge. The only safe way to come at them is from beneath them, so. But there's the T, never mind. You want to come from that guy, at that guy from the right, from the bottom, and just kind of create a bubble ladder you can climb within the wall right there to get to them. But these are kind of tricky, these Plinko kind of levels that filter down the enemies in ways that my brain can't always comprehend right away. Need letters again. Lightning bolts aren't of a lot of use here. That worked out though. Simultaneously jumped, we trapped him, and hit him. All in the same sequence there. As we have the X right now. Yeah, if I were a little monster and it was this much trouble to rescue the girlfriend, 12, 13 levels, something like that. I don't know. Speaking of X, so they're all gonna come down the drain pipe right here. There's the elusive T. You can grab these quickly. Might get some extra letters in this next level, actually. Again, we want to start quick. Another good example of how that's what you want to do. And just coming from the bottom. A lot of times, don't discount the value in coming up from the bottom. To reach, coming in to the bottom via the top. Because, the level obviously repeats in that sense. So a lot of times that's the safest way to get to some of those enemies. This is a tricky level because there are a lot of pits that you can't necessarily see. The planes tend to blend in as well on this level. But there we go. I'd like to get that E if possible. Don't think it's gonna happen. That hurts. Then they throw in an easier level like this in the middle of a handful of trickier ones. Don't overthink it sometimes, Sometimes it really is just that easy. And now we just need the end to get our next extend. Doing good though, we got 8 lives. Alright, this is a tough level, just by virtue of how you gotta line these things up. Is this guy ever gonna drop? There we go. He kinda gets caught, or we get a little boost of speed as we transition the screen here. Alright, this is gonna be 50-50 right here, as will this. I guess he's just gonna drop straight down, okay. And they really don't give you a lot of time on this level. It's crazy. You're really starting to feel the difficulty of the back half of the, Oof, first death, and it was just kind of a lazy thing where I pushed over to the right there. That's okay. Just shy of 1,000,000 points. It's good to get that first death out of the way. Then that takes the pressure of the no-death run out of the equation. But already I'm feeling the effects of not having my turbo candy. I think I said it earlier, but it's a completely different game when you don't have that. You can't be nearly as confident with just situations, and you have to rely a lot more on the timing with the 1-2 punch of trapping and popping them at once. It's a lot more of that involved. And now they're holding out the end. Maybe it's just that final letter that you need is the elusive one. Got the goalpost here. Yeah, this is another tricky one because it's hard to get, especially without turbo. Alright, there we go. Problem solved. I will take it. The green potion, we get all these cookies. Doesn't matter if you get them all in time or not. Just a nice little point bonus. Honestly, I think I could have done this had I gotten out of this area a little bit quicker. Because these ones on the sides are easy enough to get. Granted, we need to climb back out of here. Most important thing is we cleared this. We cleared the level. The first time I think they gave us a level clear automatic on a tricky level. And you can see if you have that second player, they kind of pit you against them and see who can collect more cookies in that time. Can't have you working together the entire time, you know, I think. That's their idea. And they're stacking a lot of enemies here. That's the move right there. You just pop one, you know, trap and pop one, back up, and just keep doing that, because if you just stay too close, you're going to get taken down. And then you saw we were running out of real estate there. Another liability of not having the green candy. Hopefully we'll find it soon. Bit more strategy involved when you don't have it, though. I can appreciate that. There we go. I'll take that. The twofer. Oof. There we go. And this might be another level where time is an issue. Yep. And this guy just keeps popping out. Oof. That was close. Alright. He's got the fire. There we go. Nice to get them just off center there so they drop through the wall instead of dropping back in that tiny little pit. A lot more manageable dealing with them in that situation. Another easy level. Thrown into the middle of some not so easy levels. But we'll take it. Happily. And you know what? Level 75, we've been doing these about every 25 levels or so. So let's bring in Fluff for yet another Bubble Bobble fact.
There are tons of hidden levels and rare items which can only be triggered by meeting very specific criteria. A specific example, if the two penultimate numbers in your score match at the end of a level, you get a much more valuable point item than if they didn't match. And if you can reach certain levels without having lost a life, and you wait long enough on said levels in certain versions of the game, you'll also unlock bonus rooms which contain rare items and hidden messages which give clues on how to beat the game for the best ending.
Meaning and everything. Thank you very much, Fluff. Yeah, I always figured there was some rhyme or reason as to, here we might just take shelter. Those guys, yeah, all bets are off. Hope we don't get too many stacked here. Dangerous. Alright, they were staggered just enough. Yeah, with the, just the pacing of the items that they give you and things like that. Okay. We haven't seen an umbrella, I think, since, like, level 15 or something like that. Again, it's one of those things where you need to take out a certain number of X in a certain amount of time, so it's not something I actively try to do, or just try to survive. That's the name of the game. Yeah, the more I play, just the more apparent it is to me the value of that time shot of hitting the bubble, or, you know, trapping the enemy in the bubble when they're inches away from you, so that you immediately take them down at the same time. Just that bull true thing right there. Again, using the walls, and this guy's they're both gonna drop right here. Forget the stupid Keds, or whatever shoes they are. We have no issue with Keds here on this channel. Please subscribe, by the way, if you haven't already. We do one of these classes every single week. Love to have you aboard. This is another tricky one, another time-based. We have to be very fast. All right, you know what? There we go. So much for strategy when you have an invincibility heart. But yeah, just the placement of the enemies and the death whale comes out very quickly on this particular level because it takes a little bit longer to get all those shots in. Shotaro. This is another deceptively difficult level right here because, yeah, just the way these guys move, the little pauses they take. Oof. We got very lucky there. Multiple times. Just trying to get clear here. Hopefully they just drop on the flames. Nobody wants to jump on the flames? Lightning bolt works too. I didn't take anybody out, alright? Alright. Yeah, it's just too many X factors in this level for my liking. Happy to still have only lost one life so far. A level where if we can, we want to start fast to get up before that whale comes to us. Give us a little more control over this, and the bomb, there we go. Takes everybody out, and martinis. Again, you can tell this game came out before Nintendo standards and practices were really revved up. Not sure that would have gotten past the Nintendo censors if this game had come out in, say, the early 90s. Alright, these guys will come out as soon as you go above them. That's an important trick to know about the little Zelda wannabes, the Link wannabes. And now, let's just hope they stay to there we go. Yeah, but I think until you go above them, they're not going to come out of their little boxes, so you'll be waiting all day if you rely on that. So these guys are eventually going to come down. There we go. Let's see if this hits anybody. Got one. I don't think it sticks around the whole level. I think it disappears eventually, but I'm not sure. I've never had it out for this long at the start of a level, especially in a situation where it can't hit most of the enemies because they're trapped in the middle box area. So this is going to be tough. This might be another loss of life here. Yeah, because that guy's got his ping pong paddle of death. We're going to have to get to him one way or another. Nice if the Spark could take down that guy. Alright, we just gotta... Sometimes you just have to get reckless. It's your only option. Be aggressive. Otherwise, the whale of death will kill you. Kinda looks like a pinball board right here. Where are these guys mostly gonna drop? To the left, here we go. And just the one, you coming left? There you go. Bottomless pit, these little monsters, Bub and Bob's stomachs. Prime Minister, I don't know. You got me. Lots of little messages. Darius, somehow I don't think that's a reference to frontman of Hootie and the Blowfish, Darius Rucker. Slightly before their time. Unless the developer was a huge super fan in the early days. I feel like they were around in the late 80s. Before they broke out in the early 90s. Little camera there, it looks like. Or one of those 3D picture viewers. STA. Still no N. We've been going without an N for quite a while here. the bottom here. Where are you guys going? Yeah, their movement is just so random. At least once they start bouncing off of the random objects in the room. And they're, I think, maybe the one exception, there we go, that when they fall off a cliff or come out of a bubble, that they don't fall straight down. They will fall straight down for a second, then they'll resume their normal pattern. And yeah, gets a little crazy. All right, so obviously we want to get the flames here. We can use our bubbles to jostle these loose, and then we can pop one right there. There we go. Beautiful. Let's wait for them all to move over to the left here. There we go. That's how you do that. That's how you do 88. We didn't get to enjoy any of the valuable items they left behind. That's alright. Alright, these guys will start firing, so you want to get to them quickly, and then celebrate with even more cocktails. Jeez. Guess they don't feel it with how much they've eaten, but yeah, just offset the buzz with just metric tons of produce. They come out very quickly here. There we go. Just the whale to deal with, because we only have 10 levels to go before the kind of the hidden road stretch. Level 99 is going to be tricky because we want to hit that hidden road, so I may have to break my, not a rule, but just what I was hoping for with one continue. Because if we don't get that on level 99, they only give you one chance. And if I don't get it, then I'm just going to have to burn through all my lives. No shame in that. It's very hard to do with one player. Hard enough with two players, but if you know what I'm talking about, then you know, but if you don't, you will see. Here we want to use the very fast, the jet stream here. Try to pop these over top of these guys, and I hope that's going to drop down. There we go. It would have been in a bad way had that not. Another funnel right here. Really like use one of these trains if possible, but it's hard to, you can't make the jump here. You need to use some bubbles to bounce off of. And we didn't quite get what we wanted there. Don't think I want to drop down into that. Can we get another one of those? There we go. Give me another one. You just gotta hope that it sucks in the baddies there, the toasters. Bad little toasters, not brave little toasters, bad little toasters. ST. This should be the one with the water, yeah. Blaze covered a lot of items in the start, and I'm thinking we've only encountered maybe, a third of them? Maybe half? I don't know. Alright, so they're gonna come out of their little boxes here. There's another umbrella, finally. Again, we're gonna leave it. I don't think the blue one would have sent us past the level that we need, but very colorful, Bubble Bobble. Can't tell me it's not colorful. So letter explosion with that necklace, I suppose. No N, though. Watch us beat the game without getting that N. Alright, so you want to stop as many of these guys before they drop into their pockets, at least on one side, because then you got to do this. Which isn't too hard on the one side, but, and this is kind of tricky, you want to make sure you go far right enough to clear it, otherwise you'll be falling down into that pit with them. And then just work the side. Trying to make a ladder here, but there's not a lot of space. And we're running out of time, too. Alright, we got a couple there, and there we go. Using that wall technique to great success. Let's see. Just let these guys drop down first, and we'll focus on the trap toasters. I don't think they can get out of there where they're stuck right now. I don't think he can get up all the way. He's just gonna drop back down in there. There we go. Again, and it's not just one type of cocktail. There's like 3 or 4 different colors of cocktails. Welcome. Alright, so level 98. Just noteworthy because, well, first off, these guys are tricky once they come up. You gotta be aggressive with these guys. Once they get on your level, they'll start throwing their little paddles around. There we go. Yeah, those guys and a bunch of platforms are tricky. Alright, here we are, level 99. So, very quickly, you want to make your way up. Well, just do what we're trying to do here, and hopefully this will work out. Time is of the essence. First, you gotta grab the crystal ball that Blaze talked about. It's only here for a second. Or a few seconds. And this opens a hidden gate that's right here. There we go. Secret road. That's how you... that's... I've had a lot of practice doing that myself, or by myself over the years. But, yeah, that's how you want to do that. It's kind of a 50-50 again, whether or not you will, okay, that was tricky. Can't fire bubbles when you got the fire. Yeah, it's a 50-50 as to whether or not that enemy in there will kill you, or you'll hit the road first. It's like, will you hit the enemy, or will you hit the hidden road door first? So, that worked out. Happy to say. So now we get on to the final few levels here, and we're going to go to Fluff for our final Bubble Bobble fact of this Bubble Bobble walkthrough here on Video Games 101. Fluff, what do you got?
Bubble Bobble has spawned a lot of sequels and spin-off series which feature its main characters of Bub and Bob, including the main Bubble Bobble series, the Rainbow Island series, and the very popular Bust-A-Move puzzle series. There are nearly 50 games which feature the characters of Bub and Bob.
Yeah, dozens of games, and I don't think I've played any of them, quite honestly. Got a heart there, but we don't really need it. I would be interested to check out the Rainbow Island series, just because I know the original developer was in charge of at least the first game, so I think that's worth checking out in that sense. But yeah, I was never a Bust-A-Move guy. I think I've tried it before, but not as much into that. This game sort of has a puzzle element to it, but... Alright, so these guys have very long reach with their ping-pong paddles. A3? I think this ends at like B2? B1 or B2? And we get the final level. YK, probably the initials of another one of the people involved with the development. Yeah, I'm calling it right now. We're not going to get that N. We're definitely going to beat this on one continue, but we're not going to get that N. Oh well. Still pretty happy with this playthrough. Walkthrough, slash. Despite these being, you know, kind of the final levels and the hidden levels and everything, you'd think these would be the hardest in the game, but I don't know. I don't think they're up there with, you know, the 60s through 100 in this game at least. Don't fake me out. I hate it when good-looking items are worth just non-impactful point values. So this level's annoying. We were talking about the ones that are just drops the entire time. It's hard to line them up. It's really easy level to die on. You gotta time your... There we go. I died between the screens. Is what it is, no shame in that. You can easily burn a few lives on this level, so not a big deal. We're in the home stretch. Alright, so there's some hard levels here. I guess I forgot about the final few stretch. I'm just getting lazy now. I don't care. Give me that heart. It's only a few levels to go. Just want to make sure we have at least one life left. Or one bonus life. 0 counts as a life in this game, so just want to make sure that your life count is at 1 when you get to the final boss, and you don't die, of course. Gary's can explain why. We haven't seen Gary today, being that there's only one boss in this entire game, and it's right at the end. But fear not, he'll be here to take us home in just a few moments. As we lose another one. That was just sloppy. Wheels are coming off here at the end, but you know what? Figure if the no death run is off the table, I'm not too upset about it. Michael the Jackson? Michael the Jordan? I'm probably just another developer. I don't care, as long as I can get that green candy. It's all that matters. Doesn't matter if you don't have any kind of special candy going into the final level. They'll give you all the upgrades once you get the item that's available or necessary in the final level. The boss level. I think it gives you speed shoes, but it's like the one time when you actually do need those, or the effect of speed shoes at least. This is another one where they give you very little time. Oh, that spark would be very nice here. Coming from the bottom. Let this do all the heavy lifting for us. Nice, and it even got down to the lower level. We might need to do some of the work here. There we go. Nice having that ally and the spark. I think there's a B1. There we go. Pretty sure there's a B2 as well, because they kind of give you it's like a little teaser of what the final boss looks like. It's just a massive version of one of the enemies we've been defeating this entire time. Get that? There we go. Hopefully this will touch down. There we go. I was hoping the proximity would be enough. And here we are on the final level of Bubble Bobble. Yeah, the final boss is just a big Link wannabe. Let's take them all out conventionally. Alright. Final boss, only boss, Gary.
It's Scary Gary's Boss Beaters.
Alright, better late than never, right? So, Grumple Grommet in Bubble Bobble, the final boss, the only boss. Here's the strategy. Wait until he moves right just past the ledges to pick up that lightning bubble. Just be quick, and you can avoid taking damage, especially when you get that speed once you get it to drop back down. Also, only go firing halfway up the wall. Only climb up halfway as you're firing at him. If you go too high, you will come down way too slow as you're hitting those bubbles, and one of his little ping-pong paddles is going to hit you. So just make sure you don't get greedy, just go up halfway the wall, and then focus. That'll give you plenty of time to drop down on the floor, and then dodge his attacks, and when he comes down, you can just get out of his way, basically. Other than that, just chase him back and forth across the screen. Make sure you try to generally prioritize just hitting him when he's facing away from you, and then otherwise, when he is facing you, you want to just be defensive and avoid his attacks. And last but not least, hit start and hit select once Grumple Grommet is trapped in a bubble. That brings in the second player, and then you can get the good ending if you're playing by yourself.
Thank you very much, Gary. That's right, don't get greedy. That's the main rule with this battle. Going up about halfway, and that buys us enough time that we can dodge his multi-ping pong paddle toss. Maybe those are bottles. I see it now. You can see it's nice to just squeeze under him each time as well. Just stay away from his firing side. And he's not going to throw anything at you if you're behind him, so you can use that to your advantage. And note the lightning bolts also take down the paddles for what it's worth. Alright, so once you get him in the bubble, pause the game, hit select, that brings in player 2. And that's how you get the good ending. Let's enjoy it. Is that our sister on the right, I guess? I don't know. Makes sense. Happy end. There you go, happy ending. Literally, right there in front of you. As you get the Super Mario Bros. 3 curtains. I wonder if they ripped that off in Super Mario 3, actually. It looks just like it, except it's a bit more pink. Never thought of that before, but anyway, congratulations, Bobby and Babby. Well, that's not right. It's Bub and Bob. That's weird. Anyway, we saved our lovers. Probably the only time the word lovers appears on the NES. Betty and Patty. I'm going to say Bobby and Patty are siblings. And Patty and Babby get together. That makes sense. It's nice to think about. Drunker KZM. KZM. There you see all the names now. Seen a lot of the initials as well. But there you go, Bubble Bobble. Your walkthrough for the NES. It's a platformer. Showed you a few just more in practice things, and learned a lot of interesting things from Fluff, which I personally didn't know before I had played this, I have to say. So I appreciated that. And I appreciate if you would go ahead and subscribe to this channel if you have not yet done so already. Please like and leave a comment on this video. Let me know some of your memories with this game, if you played it growing up or whenever you played it. Did you play it with your friends, siblings? I always played it with my brother. Just an excellent couch co-op game. Again, one of the few where you work together, at least one of the earlier ones. And there's your password if you want to play through a second time with Badgie. Feel free to use my password. And we'll see you next time in the same spot for next week's class. Thanks so much for attending. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like and comment on this video, and click subscribe if you haven't already, as this seriously helps me to keep making great content for you. And check the description of this video to see what song is playing right now.